Welcome to the Idaho Green Schools Challenge Mentor Training for the 2014-2015 school year. I want to thank everyone who is watching this. You've agreed to be a mentor, or maybe you're a teacher as well who wants to look at the training. Thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. Here's the definition that we have for green school. This was created by the Center for Green Schools, which is somewhat of a subsidiary of the U.S. Green Building Council. Green school is a school that creates a healthy environment that is conducive to learning while saving energy, resources, and money. And another phrase I like to use that's used in the green building community is that we want high-performing buildings because we want high-performing kids and students. So here are some really basic outline characteristics of a green school. You can imagine a lot of these are going to come to you when you think of it. They conserve energy and natural resources. They save money for meeting budgets in terms of operations of the building. They improve the indoor air quality, remove toxic materials from places where children learn and play, as we think about the outside of the school as well. Employs sustainable purchasing and green cleaning practices. Improves environmental literacy in students. Decreases the burden on municipal water and wastewater treatment. And again, this can kind of go back to the money item I mentioned earlier. This could be something that you're always looking at. What are we spending money on at the school? Encourages waste management efforts to benefit the local community and region. Conserves fresh drinking water and helps manage stormwater runoff. Encourages recycling. Promotes habitat protection. Reduces demand on local landfills. Now, as we go through this, a lot of you are familiar with LEED certification. You can see how a lot of these touch upon the pillars of green building in terms of getting a building certified. The Center for Green Schools has a mission. They want to create green schools for everyone within this generation. So that's how we are helping meet that mission, is getting as many schools as possible to start thinking about how to green their school, no matter how small the change can be. You know, when we step back and look at what kinds of things we're affecting a lot of people. So in the United States, there's 50 million students, 5 million faculty, and 20%, that represents 20% of America's population. You know, if we take a look at Idaho, we have over 1.5 million people in Idaho, and almost 27% of that population is under 18 years old. So, you know, we can roughly say that, you know, about 4,250,000 people are students in our state, and we have over 980 schools in our state. And there's, you know, maybe 40+ K admin and staff members supporting all those students in schools. So just think about how many people we're affecting if we can try to create better and green schools in our state and in our country. So this is another thing to think about in terms of educational facilities. Well, in terms of facilities, educational facilities represent the largest construction sector in the United States. So this information was from 2000-2009. It's just showing that schools represent 64% of those educational facilities. And again, thinking about the impact that all of those buildings have, these are stats that the U.S. Green Building Council uses to try to get people to understand how much we're using from our buildings. So 12% of our water use is just from our buildings, 39% is from CO2 emissions, and 65% representation and waste output, and the big one, 71% electricity consumption. So again, we look at this, and the big idea is we want to lower energy and water costs, and we want to raise student health and test scores. So that goes back to what I said earlier about high-performing buildings. We have high-performing buildings, we're going to have high-performing people. So exactly what is the Idaho Green Schools Challenge? The Idaho Green Schools Challenge is something that we've invited the whole state of Idaho in terms of K through 12, public or private schools. So this includes charter, but I have been asked this. It does not include homeschooling. It doesn't include preschool or pre-K, and it doesn't include higher education. What we're inviting people to do is to create and implement sustainable practices. And it can just be in their classroom, it can be their entire school building, or it can be their entire campus. But we do set the boundary at their actual campus boundary. This is a school project. And it's also an opportunity to start making changes, no matter how small, that can help improve the school efficiency, environment, and health. A tagline that the Center for Green Schools uses is a line saying, "This is where we learn, and where we learn matters." And when the students can start thinking that way, they'll start being able to impact the whole world around them. So the goals we have from actually starting the Green Schools Challenge is we really want to energize a sustainable curriculum in the school systems, and we want to really help lower school operating and maintenance costs. Overall, we want to reduce carbon footprint, increase awareness of school facilities' indoor air quality. I know a lot of them maybe hadn't even thought about that before. Improve the learning and teaching environment, and what comes along with that is we really want it to be seamless and help improve the Common Core implementation within our state. We want to conserve our natural resources, encourage students to think creatively about sustainability. We really want them to have fun with this project. We want them to promote environmental stewardship in their communities, and you'll see that in the rubric. There's an opportunity in how the scoring will go when it's time to look at their project. Have they communicated what they did to the school, but have they also communicated out to the community, outer community? We really want to start creating a generation of environmentally conscious adults and engage the business community and building industry to help students green their schools. And I could list more goals, but those are the big ones, and I think a lot of you could agree that those would be really great outcomes. And just a reminder that these teams that we form and do the projects have potential to impact not only their school but their entire community. And just as I shared that in the rubric, some of the elements that you'll see that they're going to be judged on is what they've shared with their school, but what they've also shared with their community. And then in addition to that, a plan to sustain the project, so the perpetuation of the project. Okay, so this is the general timeline. I'm going to keep this in mind. So you can see we've already passed the school registration. I'll tell you at the end who all has been registered. And we are right in the middle of October, so we are in the midst of mentor training. This is a taped training session that the mentors will be able to view at their own discretion online. And we're really hoping that we can do our matchmaking and have things figured out so that project teams can be formed as soon as possible and have a plan in place of what your project's going to be. So you basically have about 5 months to do your project, and as a mentor, you're going to be finding me, checking in with you every 2 weeks to see how things are going. And this is instrumental I cannot emphasize this enough, that this is going to be a key factor in how you're doing and are you on track. And I am someone, in fact, my name is Jen Ellis. I probably didn't mention that at the beginning, that I'm going to be a resource for you. If you're stuck or you need a connection, please come to me, and that's what you're going to be acting as for your team. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. So really that last month, before we turn in the submission, it's really your opportunity to wrap up the project. Probably should have most of it done by then. And then the actual submission is April 1st is the deadline. And we will announce winners that month, and we'll have somewhat of a ceremony. I'm not sure. It'll depend on the winner results, on how we will go about it. It's going to be, we're changing it a little bit this year, so there'll be more information as we get closer to how the announcements will take place and awards will be distributed. Now let's get into the fun part here for a while. I was just showing you some pictures here of some ideas. A big question we get is, how do we get started? I don't know what project to do. Can you give us some ideas? So first, you should go to our website, because I have a lot of links that are helpful for you. There's like 101 ways to green your school. You'll see the website address at the end of this presentation, and just go there, and at the very end of the Green Schools page, there's a lot of links, and you'll see opportunities. And if you still run out of ideas, let me know. I have a ton of ideas, and I have helped other groups before. But also something I can't emphasize enough as well is, please try to guide the students in having them decide what the project is. You will get way more participation and engagement if they actually vote and decide what they want to do. But these are some fun things that it does. So I'm just going to show you some examples, some pictures here. This was a school where they had a volunteer work day. So it really got them the opportunity to see different kind of landscapes that they have at their school, what goes into the maintenance and what kind of plants were there. This one had a green team club, so they had a butterfly garden, and they did different projects, but mainly they were called the Green Team Club. And then you can see this after-school watering picture in the lower left corner. This reminds me, there was one idea that I thought was really sweet that an elementary school did. They wanted to have a garden, and they weren't sure how to get the district to help pay for the actual irrigation. And so what they did is they came up with a complete schedule where every class had a role in watering the garden. So they actually self-watered it by person and watering cans, but they had a schedule throughout the school year. It was taken care of. I don't know how they worked it out for the summer, but that was a project that they did. And it was very sweet. Here's another idea, a couple of different ideas. Campaigns. So campaigns can be, turn the lights off when not in use, helping remind people to turn off the water, don't let it run, reminder to do double-sided duplex printing. I've seen where some schools have turned off a third of their lights in the hallways, so there was information about what they were doing. There's a computer shutdown at night. That one alone can be a big campaign. Or you can remind people to recycle. Some people don't know that there actually is recycling, or they don't know how, they don't know what items are in there. So there's a lot of different campaigns that you can do. This one was original. It was a litter scene investigation. So they had a whole project around what was left behind, so kind of a CSI approach. Then we had a water quality study. Looks like, I would say this was maybe the older part of the elementary school. And, there's a lot you can do with recycled art. You can do murals. I saw one where kids were bringing in different T-shirts and they were repurposing them into other things, or they took what was in the lost and found and they made new things, or they collected water bottles for a certain amount of time and then made things out of them, made like 3D standing pieces of art with the bottles. So here's a mosaic here. Here's some more art ideas. And this one was an example of how they summarized their crayon recycling program. And then we had also some schools that did stormwater management. There were some other really great alternative energy projects that they did. So here's a list of some other things. There's a school that didn't have a recycling program, and they didn't understand why. So the whole project was their journey in figuring out why they didn't have it, what it would take in terms of the city and contractor with the school. It was very interesting. Then another one was, one school did a lot of projects, but one of them is they called it toilet talk. So after school they met every other week and they talked about ways to save water. But of course the name in itself was hilarious and had a huge buy-in with these elementary students. Recycled paper holiday ornaments. That was another project. Composting of food waste from cafeteria. You saw a picture of some stormwater management with some rain barrels. Windmill, wind energy. And with the solar panel study, they actually created very resourceful what kind of pieces and materials they put together to make the windmill and to rig the system so that the solar panel and the windmill could actually run the energy needed for their classroom. And then I mentioned earlier a computer shutdown campaign. So these are projects we've seen from the Idaho Green Schools Challenge. Okay, so kind of getting down here to the mentor details, why you're here, why you're listening to this presentation. So we think that the mentor's role is really to help be the project manager for this project. Keep them on task, give them what they need, and really just take the heat off the teacher. If you find yourself in a situation where the teacher really is acting more like the mentor, that's fine, as long as that's what the teacher really wants it to be. But we're looking for you to be that person to guide the students through this and make sure they complete it and really submit. We're really looking for 100% submission of projects. So let's go over these bullets. First, we've got provide sustainability expertise and guidance at your assigned school. You are definitely the expert on hand. Complement the teacher's efforts to provide a sustainable curriculum. Really make it easy on the teacher. Find out, the teacher really is kind of the representative in terms of here's a team that's been formed and kind of that person's the conduit. But find out when that teacher can meet, when the students can meet. Please try to do as much as you can to work around their schedule. If it turns out you need to work remotely and that works okay with the teacher, just do as much as you can to work with that teacher. And we are looking for a commitment of a minimum of 4 hours per month of personal time. We'd like that to be one-on-one at the school, but we realize you are professionals, you may have to travel. If you need to do it through a video conference, that's fine. But please do that minimum of 1 hour, or 4 hours per month. And you can do more. We're just looking for that minimum. We're also needing you to help students and teachers green their schools for little or no cost. We're not looking to spend millions of dollars here. So any opportunity you see for a grant, or there's businesses that want to donate whatever material or time, that's what we're hoping you can make those connections. This is the big one. Help assigned schools complete their submission by April 1st. This tends to be a big one, so I'm going to stop here for a second and just remind everybody this is a very popular question that I'll get maybe, you know, 3/4 of the way down with the project, people ask, when is that deadline again, and is that a solid date? And it is a solid date. You really need to have that April 1st deadline in mind the whole time so that you know how you're doing. When I do those bi-weekly check-ins, I really want to know how you're doing because we want to make this a successful challenge for everybody. Another item that you can be helping out with is getting the photo releases signed. So I'll show you another slide of the actual things that are actually expected to be turned in. But if you have video or photos in like a PowerPoint presentation, we do need those photo releases. And those are available online at our website. And then again, this is answer the brief surveys throughout the year, so that every 2 weeks to verify that your assigned school is on track. And I can tell you here, these are the dates that I'm going to be checking in. So I'll be sending you an email or I'll be calling you and finding out how you're doing. So basically twice a month for 5 months. And you see the first one is November 12th. The last one is March 18th. They're mostly on Wednesdays, but because of holidays, not every single one of them falls on a Wednesday. But the kinds of things I'm going to be looking for is, does the team have a plan? Do they have a project? Is the project on track? And do you need any help? Those are basically the big things here. And you don't have to give me all the details. You can save that for the project submission. But in general, it would be nice to know anecdotal, like, you know, I took them on a field trip, or I had them read this document, you know, they learned this week. Whatever it is, we're looking at highlights here, but mostly, do you think you have what you need to do the project? Okay, so here are the nuts and bolts. For the actual submission, so this whole time that you're working on the project, really the only thing I'm asking for are these bi-weekly check-ins. But the end goal here is that you'll see where the submission is due. But keep in mind to take pictures and video throughout the project. Maybe you're not sure whether you're going to do a PowerPoint or video. That's okay. You have that choice. You don't have to do both. Maybe, again, take both if you haven't decided, so that you have the choice at the end. You have that last month to pull together the video or the PowerPoint presentation. And keep in mind, if you are in a situation where you are able to document savings in both dollars and units, you know, whether it be, you know, the waste or the power that you've saved or whatever it is, if you're actually in a project where you haven't saved anything, it's okay. The way I look at it is you can do estimates, you can project, you can say this is what we think it would be. I encourage you to also, you could look at carbon footprint. There is a way to work around this, and if you need guidance on this, let me know. But keep in mind, don't let that stop you in your project if you actually haven't experienced a savings. So the actual things that are due, and it's like 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, April 1st, and I think that is a Wednesday. We need 1-page cover form, and that is a document that's actually online at our website, and it's really just kind of going to serve as a way to pull together the materials when I'm showing it to the judges. It's just your name and basic information. But the 1-page written report is self-managed. We do not have a form for that. You will come up with that on your own, but my best guidance for this is look at the rubric. So this is what the judges will be using to come up with their scoring. If you look at that rubric, and I'm going to give you kind of the rundown on the outline, you will know what you need to put into the written report so that the judges can go right to to figure out how to judge and score. Again, you have the choice. You can do a maximum 5-minute video, or you can do a PowerPoint presentation. And then there's the photo release forms. So those are the actual things that are due. And that's a very popular question. So if you need that in the biweekly check-in, I can send this to you again so that you have it. And so here's some tips, is that some people have had more success having it be an ongoing project versus a one-time, one-day activity. So keep that in mind, but it's your choice. Encourage the green team to share their efforts with the whole school. So maybe you might want to find out up front what kind of ways things are communicated in the school. Is it over the loudspeaker? Is there a newsletter? Do they have do they text? What is it that they're using? This is in bold here. Must be a new project or major expansion of existing efforts. So some schools are returning from last year, so maybe some of you want to expand on what you worked on last year. The next item is think about the rubric as you prepare your report. This is a really good way to figure out whether you're on track. And you'll see that in the next slide. I'll show you the categories that are covered in the rubric. And again, it's available online. Document the dollar and resource savings throughout the project. Remember to consider how the project will continue. We are looking for perpetuation. We really want to see that the school will pick this up again even though your project is over for the challenge. And to remember to take pictures and videos throughout the year. So I see I'm mentioning that more than once, so you don't have to make a mad dash in March to take pictures of things. But don't forget to get those photo releases signed. Okay, so here's a look at the rubric. There are more line items. These are just the main categories. So you can see where the emphasis is. So there's a measured performance. This goes back to what I said earlier about goals in terms of savings, whether it be dollars or resources. Project documentation. And this is one where will come up, you'll see it when you do, you'll be thinking about it when you're doing your one-page report. Have you been able to document enough so that you can pull together your one-page report easily? Perpetuation, so I mentioned earlier. Will this project, is there a plan for this project to continue, and or is this easy to replicate somewhere else? Creativity, so how did the project go about happening? Communication, this is again internal communication to your fellow students and administrators in your school, but then also how is it communicated to the community, surrounding community of your school? And then there's an area for additional points for creative ideas or substantial impact. Oh, and I'll mention too, the judges that we used, I am not one of the judges. I did that on purpose because I knew that it would be a really hard job for me. So I have out-of-state people that are associated with Wells Fargo, who is our main sponsor for this challenge. I also have other people who are somewhat equivalent to my position for U.S. Green Building Council as the Green Schools Advocacy Chair, so other advocacy chairs in surrounding states. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit about the awards. So we're recognizing outstanding achievement by age group. So the plan is to have a top winner in the elementary category, the junior high, middle school category, and the senior high category. There will be cash awards at each winning level, and I cannot say how much at this time, but what I'm going to do in the next couple slides is show you what the earnings were in the last 2 years. There will be a trophy for each winning team, and we will present the checks and trophies in April, and the event details are to be determined. As we're changing it, in the years past, we presented the awards with the IDEA annual conference, the Idaho Environmental Education Association. and this year we're going to be doing it on our own. So, all right, let's look at what happened in the last 2 years. The first year we did it, we had 3 winners, and you can see the amounts that they got, almost about over $3,000 there, or just about $3,000. And then you can see that, so Nampa High won first, Post Falls Middle School, and then Hillside Junior High, and then there were other schools that participated. And then last year, the top 2 winners were Sandpoint High School and Grace Jordan Elementary, and they each won $1,500. And listed below are the other schools that participated. And this is what we have for the lineup for this year. We've got Galileo STEM Academy, Grace Jordan Elementary, Longfellow Elementary, and Lowell Elementary in the elementary category. In the middle junior high category, we have Lone Star Middle School, Sage International School of Boise, and it is I believe it's the 9th grade for that school, South Junior High School. And then we've got 3 high schools, Lake City High School, Sandpoint High School, and Timberline High School. So I do that so that, if there's any shared interests or questions or resources that you need to, cross-pollinate it all, we encourage you guys to help each other if it works out for both of you. For more information about anything I've talked about so far or new things that you've thought of, please don't hesitate to email me at this address, greenschools@usgbcidaho.org. You can phone me. There's my number. And the important thing to have on hand is our website. So a lot of the documents I mentioned, the rubric, and the photo release forms, and the one-page cover form. A lot of these documents I talked about are online at our website. And then also remember all those links. There's like a place you can go to do a green scorecard of your school. Maybe you want to start out with an assessment to figure out how to brainstorm on what project you want to do. There's also a link to 101 green ways to green your school. So the website is www.usgbcidaho.org/green-schools-challenge. Again, thank you very much for volunteering. We appreciate your time and your interest, and I cannot wait to find out what your projects are going to be. Thank you.